Hey, what's up everybody? It's Coach Matt over here. Squeaky chair. Coach Matt over here, Primal Athlete Training Center, www.primalatc.com. Friday night after a long week, fix this chair here, long week, that's better, of coaching athletes, getting people stronger. We're getting kind of towards the end of our season here in Rhode Island. As you can see, our state championship is 3 weeks from this Saturday, 3 weeks from tomorrow, and we're getting ready to go here. We're getting ready to peak. We're getting ready to hit the end of the season and make sure our athletes are at the top of their game. Now, we had a coach named Derek, and Derek bought our in-season training guide from the Primal Athlete Training Center website last night. He had a chance to take a look at it, and he emailed me with some questions. Now, I got to tell you something. Derek is a first-year coach. It says here, I took some notes, that he has been involved in track and field since 2006, but this is his first year coaching. He's coaching for a school that's only been around for about 4 or 5 years, and he bought the in-season training guide, and he has some questions. Now, his questions for a first-year coach are unbelievably advanced, and I love the fact you can tell this guy has done his research. You can tell this is a guy who really cares about his athletes and wants to provide the best for his athletes, which is probably why he went and spent his own money and bought this in-season training guide. He had 3 questions on the training guide. The first has to deal with using dumbbells versus barbells. Now, what we mean by this is in the in-season training guide, I prefer to use a lot of dumbbells. Things for dumbbell snatches, dumbbell clean and press, dumbbell push press, renegade rows, and things of that nature that use dumbbells. And his question is, why did I select dumbbells over barbells? Is there a preference? Is there a reason why I did this? And to be quite honest with you, I did it because when you're working with an entire team, a lot of times you run out of space. If you only have, say, 2 or 3 power racks and 2 or 3 barbells, if you're doing something like a clean and press, you're going to have to wait a long time. If you have 15 kids on your team, that's 5 kids per rack. That's 5 kids per bar. And that's going to take a long time. And these workouts are only meant to be about 45 minutes in length. So, if you're taking 5 kids, that's probably a good 20 to 25 minutes on just one exercise. Using dumbbells, obviously there's 2 dumbbells. So if you're doing a one-arm clean and press, one kid can have a 45-pound dumbbell, another kid can have the other one, the one of the matching set. So it's going to save you a little bit of time. When one kid's done, somebody else, if they're waiting for the dumbbell, can just grab it while the other kid's resting and go. It just speeds along the process. Other ways, there is some functional aspect to it as well. When you throw, you've got the implement in one hand. If you ever need to bail out on it, if it ever gets too heavy, you can just kind of drop it and get out of the way. No harm done. Younger athletes, younger, lifters who don't have the experience, it kind of freaks them out to have that big bar in their hand at first to do things like, push presses and clean and presses and, power cleans off the floor and snatches and things like that. Dumbbell gets them some of the same benefit, sometimes a little bit better benefit in my opinion, and it doesn't freak them out as much. So that's the answer to that question. Hopefully that helps. The other one is, the track team has only been around, I think the school's only been around for about 4 or 5 years, and his head coach wants them to be the first team in school history to win a divisional championship. Well, in the in-season training guide, what we do is we set you up so that you peak for a certain day. We peak you for a certain meet at the end of the year. Problem here is that his divisional meet, the meet they need to win to be like the first championship team in their school's history, is about 3 or 4 weeks before the rest of the big meets that happen, like the Masters meets, the bigger coaches invitationals, the state championships, and things like that. So his question is, if he peaks them for that divisional meet, what does he do for the next 3 to 4 weeks after that? Should he start the program all over again at week 1, or should he just kind of try to maintain, try to keep the weights moving quickly, try to keep the weight heavy, and get his kids to try to hold on tight for the end of the year? And the second option is going to be your best. Unfortunately, as a lot of top coaches will tell you, you can only peak a couple times a year. Establishing a true peak takes months of work and preparation. There's a reason why a lot of times closer to the Olympics, a lot of athletes aren't going to meets before the Olympics, but they'll continue to do meets after the Olympics. And that's because their body has already peaked. Their body is in a great state. They're fully ready for their event. And it's easier to hold on to that peak for another week or two than it is to try to start all over again and peak all over again. It just isn't going to happen in 2 or 3 weeks. So my advice to you, try to maintain, try to get your athletes to hold on to their strength and their speed and their explosiveness in the weight room, as well as possibly, maybe that means you got to give them a little bit of rest in the throwing circle, a little bit of rest in the weight room. It's totally up to you based on your athletes' needs and what's going on with your athletes. The third part of his question has to deal with training his high school freshmen. He went to a USATF level 1. I don't know if it was a certification or a meeting or something like that. And basically they said, that freshmen and younger athletes should not do any type of weight training until their bodies are physically mature enough to handle it. And he's wondering, well, should he tweak the in-season training guide to incorporate a lot more body weight movements? And let's start by addressing the first issue. First of all, I have 14-year-old athletes who are training here in my gym that look like they are 25. And I have 18-year-old athletes training in my gym that look like they are 12. You cannot put an age to it and say, after freshman year, that's when you can weight train. Because you have some athletes who are not going to even start shaving or hit puberty until they're 18 years old. It's just the way that people's bodies work. Everyone is different. What I will say is this. You do certainly want to test your younger athletes. If somebody cannot do 10 to 15 good, solid push-ups, you should not have them bench press. If somebody cannot do, 5 to 10 good pull-ups or chin-ups in a row, probably not a good idea to have them, do any type of deadlifting or anything like that. You certainly want to make sure that they are physically ready enough to lift, but to say that freshmen shouldn't lift is just poppycock. It just does not make sense. I started lifting when I was a freshman. Many freshman football players lift weights. A lot of people now before freshman year lift weights. They've actually proven through studies that lifting heavier stuff at a younger age actually releases growth hormone, and you will actually get bigger from it. I tell people all the time, I grew up on a farm, and I am big. I was lifting heavy stuff, firewood, grain bags, heavy buckets of water from when I was a little kid, 9, 10 years old. Didn't affect my growth one bit, one of the bigger guys in my family. Guys in the Midwest, farm boys in the Midwest, they are big, strong, beefy kids that have been working on farms and doing a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of heavy work since they were little kids. Did not affect their growth at all. Why should it affect our growth in the weight room if it doesn't affect their growth on the farm? It's dumb. As long as you're training your entire body, you're doing it smartly, and smartly, is that a word? You're doing it correctly, you're smart about it, and you make sure that you are, getting kids properly prepared to handle the weight with proper technique and proper form, and taking it easy at first to teach the form and not overloading them with weight. It is perfectly fine for kids who are freshmen in high school, 14, 15 years old, to lift weights. We have plenty of them in here training with me. They're seeing fantastic results. They're getting bigger. They're getting stronger. They're putting on more muscle. People are starting to notice, and they are starting to dominate in their sport because they've got that unfair advantage over everybody else. And that's, Derek, what I hope your athletes get as well. All right, guys, great question from Derek about the in-season training guide. If you're interested, I'll put a link for the in-season training guide down below. If you click on it, you can read about what it entails, how many weeks long it is, what the book is supposed to get you to do. We've been using it here now. This is our 3rd season, and our athletes are still seeing fantastic results for it and have been able to peak for when it counts at the championship meets at the end of the season. All right? So make sure to check out that link. Any other questions, leave them in the comment section of the YouTube video, and I will answer them for you really, really soon. Hope to hear from you later. Check out that link.